Ameriie. I'm here with my July wrap-up and August TBR. It's actually fairly late, it's in the middle of the month right now, but I still wanted to share with you what I read. I have quite a few things. One DNF, it's actually more of a pause than DNF. Also, side note, I'm drinking a smoothie right now. It's a berry smoothie, so my lips and my tongue may be purple and red will be fine, but purple and blue is a little weird, but we'll just pretend that's not happening. If it even happens, I don't know. First, we'll start off with Noah Hawley's Before the Fall. This is about a man who survives in a plane crash after everyone is killed. It was a private plane that crashed over Martha's Vineyard. And we're trying to figure out the character dynamics, what was happening, how the crash happened, because there's a lot more than meets the eye. So the man survives, and there's also a little boy who survives too. But the rest of his family, everyone else on the plane, perished. This is not a spoiler, because this is something that happens in the very first chapter, and it's really how everything happened and why it happened. That's the story. And I'm sorry, the lawn's being done right now, so there's just a lot of sound. So sorry about that. So I took a pause on this at page 72, 73. It's not because it isn't good, it's because somehow I think my interest flagged a bit. Somehow I wasn't drawn into the story, and I think I have to give it another chance. I think it was just completely due to mood. The reason why I got the book was because I picked it up from iBooks. Remember I told you that? I got it from iBooks, the sample, loved it, put in the order right away, and then I was like, oh, it's just not doing it for me right now. Oh, I hate it when that happens. I think I switched moods. So I do plan on going back to this eventually to see what happens. The Library at Mount Char by Scott Hawkins. I really love this book. It's kind of a weird tale. A lot of people are surprised when they begin to read it because they're trying to figure out what's going on in it. It's contemporary, it's a fantasy. It's like this crazy blend of fantasy and contemporary fiction. It's gruesome, it's dark, it's really twisted. This was a little reminiscent to American Gods by Neil Gaiman. Not the same mythology with the gods or anything like that, but just the fact that gods do exist. In this book, the gods are kind of like these old creators. The library in this book represents this portal into a different dimension. It's almost like between dimensions, where all of this knowledge has been amassed by one particular god, a person that everyone calls father. And so everyone, he gets these children and saves these children. You'll see in the book how he saved them. And everyone's allowed to learn one discipline. So this person learns about health, and this person learns husbandry, you know, all about animals. And another person learns about weapons and warfare. And they're never allowed to study outside of their catalog for fear that they will amass too much knowledge and become too powerful. That's kind of like father's rule. So there's a heavy penalty for studying outside of your catalog. You have to stick with your own knowledge. So there's that. There's boy meets girl, see how they're connected in the past. This buzzing is so loud. I'm so sorry. Yeah. Now I absolutely loved the first 25% of this book because there's a certain tone, there's a certain black humor. There was a little humor, but mostly it was very dark and atmospheric, but very quick as far as the pacing goes. Then somewhere around 25% to the rest, really, the humor kind of took over, and I felt like the balance that I loved between serious horror and comedy kind of tilted a little bit, and it was a little bit more, not quite slapstick, but a lot of like one-line zingers, but so many of them that the darkness kind of like took a back seat. And I really loved the other balance where it was more dark and more horrific, and then you had that comedy coming in. Still really great. I always believe that endings are super important. If you're reading something that you feel is, like, for instance, a 3-star read, a great ending can take it to a 4. If it's a 4-star read, a great ending can take it to a 5. This has a great ending. I loved it. I'm looking forward to reading more. Funny thing enough, the library at Mount Char was originally called Mount Charbroiled or something like that. I went on his website and he said it was called Charbroiled. I understand why you have to read the whole thing, but when you see the library at Mount Char, it seems so mysterious. But Char is, I think, stands for Charbroiled. So you get what I mean in mixing the comedy with the horror. Highly recommend this book. It's really interesting. You just have to go with it. It's a fantasy horror mashup. Definitely worth checking out. Finally got to Air of Fire by Sarah J. Maas. Really enjoyed this one. My favorite character is Manon Yellowteeth? Manon, I already forgot the Iron Teeth clan. But isn't Manon Iron Teeth? No, that's not the way it goes. Anyhow, there's a witch here. You're following her journey. I loved it. There's a moment in the story too that's so poignant. All of the wealthy citizens of the capital go to see an opera, and because of everything that's happening politically, the orchestra members, the musicians, the conductor, they all stand and they play all of the nations that have been affected by this one empire, as far as devastated by this empire in some way. They play all of the national anthems, and then they play the empire's anthem last. And after that, they stand up, then they just walk off the stage. And there is no opera that night. It's like that one silent protest. It just felt so poignant to me, especially in light of everything that's happening in our nation. Everything that's been happening, actually, but is just kind of coming more to the forefront now. So this part in this book especially resonated with me because of that. I reread that like 3 times. I won't go too much into what this is about because this is book 3. Is this book 3 or book 4? This is book 3 of a 7-part series, not including the Assassin's Blade novella bind-up. So I won't go into too much into what this is about. If you guys are into, well, I'll just say that it's about a young woman, an assassin, who is fighting not only for her life, but also her people. That's really vague, but I don't really want to say too much. The Girls by Emma Cline, really enjoyed this one. It's about a young girl who gets caught up in a cult very similar to the Manson cult in the 1970s. And we go back in time and then we go forward to her present adult life. It's essentially what it is to be a female, what it is to be a girl, to become a woman, the things that we carry with us from early womanhood, from even before when we reach womanhood, and carry them with us as an adult. How things change and how some things don't change. She is such an exceptional writer as far as really nailing, having that perfect sentence that encapsulates a moment, a situation, what it is to be insecure, to be so unsure of yourself when you're blossoming into your sexuality and all of that. She really, really was able to articulate that so well. I dog-eared so many pages. She really captured too what it's like to deal with pressure, societal pressure, but also pressure from boys and trying to, women are always taught to be liked, to get along with others. And I think sometimes what happens is that because we're always taught be pleasant and amiable and likable, that can become really weird when it comes with dealing with males, whether it's men later in life, boys when you're growing up and coming into your own. Women do things sometimes because they just don't want to be the bitch. They don't want to be difficult. And that carries on to our professional lives as well. But the author so wonderfully illustrates how that happens at such a young age, and then it just kind of carries all the way through. It's really fantastic. I will say, the first 100 pages, I literally fell asleep on the book twice. I was reading it, and then I was like, starting to wonder if this was a mistake in purchasing the book. Maybe it should have been a library loan because I wasn't sure if I wanted to follow through. And I actually buddy read this with Max from Well Done Books. He finished the book in a few days. He finished really quickly, and it took me a long time to finish just because I had a lot of things going on. And then I kept falling asleep on the book. But after I finished the first 100 pages, I was addicted. It's just so poignant. I highly recommend this book. This is one of my favorite books of 2016. Highly, highly recommend. It's a buzzy book, but it deserves the hype, in my opinion. Another super hyped book, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child by J.K. Rowling. I really have mixed feelings about this. Part of me, well, first of all, it's a play. So some people were really upset because they were thinking, this is not really the 8th book. This is a short story. It's not very big. Calm down, everyone. This is a play. This is the rehearsal script, I believe. The rehearsal edition script. Yes. So things may change as well, like little things may change. The play sounds amazing. I mean, I was really trying to figure out how they were going to accomplish some of these things on the stage. But the only thing is I just wasn't so sure. Well, let's put it this way. In my mind, this is like a nice addition, a little nice alternate universe. Maybe this is something that happened, but it doesn't necessarily mean it definitely happened. Like, to me, the epilogue is where we left Harry and his family. I loved the epilogue. Some people felt like that was too much. I loved it because I felt like it really wrapped up Snape's storyline, and also it gave a lot of respect and gave just due to the sacrifice that Snape made. Like, seeing that Harry named his child after Snape and Dumbledore, 2 very important men in his life. To me, that was like really important to see. But this, I wasn't really sure. I understood what was happening, but at the same time, the story felt it felt as if everything that could have happened was super simplified, even when it came to dialogue between Harry's and Draco's sons. And so because of that simplification, there was something that just felt a little too clean to me, a little too convenient in some of the problems that they were dealing with. And because it is a play and it's a script and we don't get to see the emotions, I felt like the emotions, the character arcs, they were just being hit really quickly. But it's hard for me to really judge that because this is a script. It's not the same as seeing the play for itself. So that's why I can't really judge on that. My mixed feelings really just comes from loving where we left off before, loving the epilogue, and just leaving it at that. I didn't really need to see Hermione and Harry and all of them grown up. And Ron is a bit bumbly. I mean, he was always a little bumbly, but he was especially bumbly later. It's kind of like he digressed a little bit. For the record, I have always shipped Harry Potter and Hermione. To me, they always belong together, in my opinion. I don't know who I would have hooked Ron up with. I don't know. Not Hermione, though. It was Hermione and Harry all the way, in my opinion. Don't throw anything at me. I also read Drown by Esther Dalsano. This is a retelling of Hans Christian Andersen's The Little Mermaid, and it's very dark. It's quite tragic. I absolutely loved it. It was tragic but beautiful. Like, you almost think there's a certain chance that something will happen, but at the end of the day, it does stay true to its tragic roots. Her prose is gorgeous, and the story was just like, heart-wrenching. And she has a new book called Gabriel of the Swallows, which I will be reading soon. It's not going to necessarily be next month. I'm not sure when, but that's the reason why I wanted to read Drown, because I like to start out with the author and then see how things go in their later works. As for my August TBR, I am keeping it pretty short, and I'm carrying something over. My Lady Jane by Cynthia Hand, Jodie Meadows, and Brody Ashton, aka the Three Janies. That's kind of their nickname for each other when they're working on these projects, where they're basically taking every tragic tale and rewriting history. And I think they have 2 more books coming out after this. But I told you about this already, so I won't go into this. Doesn't it look like a fantastic Instagram picture? I just love this cover. So hopefully I do get to this before the month ends. That is the goal. Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. I actually started to read this already. I was reading it aloud to my husband. It's very fast-paced, very interesting. It's essentially about a guy who wakes up one day. He's a physicist or a science teacher, a professor, and he wakes up one morning. He's abducted and then knocked out. And when he wakes up, someone just says, "Hey, welcome back, Professor such and such." He's this super world famous physicist or scientist, and he's been playing around with alternate universes. His wife is not his wife, his child is not his child or doesn't even exist. Everything in his life is different. So he's trying to figure out, wait, did I leave from here and go to that other life? Or is that the real thing? And then this is some kind of trickery, or maybe it's a dream. I ended up starting by reading aloud to my husband, but then I soon found that the book reads like a movie, but it almost reads like a screenplay. Although I love my novels to feel like movies as far as being very cinematic, or I can see the story playing out, I don't actually love the reading experience to feel as if I'm reading a movie, if that makes any sense. And a book that I'm currently reading right now, so I guess it's kind of part of my August TBR, even though it's not a to be read, it's a currently reading, is The Woman in Cabin 10. This book has a lot of buzz, as does Dark Matter, but this book is super buzzy. Reese Witherspoon, I believe, just bought the rights, and she's going to make it into a film. She also blurbed the book. It's about a woman who goes on this trip. It's like a private yacht, 10 cabins, not a lot of people, super elite. She's supposed to do a write-up on this experience. She meets a woman in cabin 10. They just speak briefly, and then she hears a splash later on that night, or the night after. She goes out to the deck. She sees blood on the balcony area, and then she knocks on the door. No one answers. When she tries to report it, they tell her that there's not a woman in cabin number 10, that there's never been a woman in cabin number 10. So that's my July wrap up and my August TBR. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing about some of those books. Let me know if you've read some of those or if you're planning on reading them. Again, The Girls, can't recommend that enough. Really enjoyed that. It really, you'll know. When you read it, you'll know. You'll be like, yes, this is what it is. You're constantly making sure you're not compromising yourself. At the same time, you're getting sent all these messages about what it is to be a woman and what it is to be female. It's really fantastic. I highly recommend it, like I already said a gazillion times. Don't forget to like the video if you liked it. Please share the video, and don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, I will see you later. Bye! I want to just play and do a little of this. Get in this bone and sweep it. You can sweep it above the brow,